been one of the most challenging things that you've experienced or are currently experiencing?
I would say my show over at College Street Music Hall in New Haven, Connecticut. It was back in November. It was my band's album release show, and I always want to do things like bigger and bigger and bigger. So I was looking for a venue, and I spoke to one of my friends, and I'm like, "Hey, should we do it at this venue?" And he goes, "No, you should go bigger than that." And it's like, "You're Jose. You should be going. You should make it a spectacle and stuff like that." Um, so long story short, I chose like College Street Music Hall because it was the new venue in New Haven. It was 1,000 capacity and stuff like that. Um, Not knowing what would manifest as from point A to point B, and still as we sit here right now. It started first with just booking the venue. So reaching out to the venue and saying, "Hey, I want to throw a show," and me being like a little fish, it's like here's a deposit. This is what you need to come up with. So immediately, money got in the way, and for me, it's difficult to think of money as an art, because so I make money doing art, but it's kind of it gets icky sometimes. So I got the numbers, and I'm like, I love numbers, so I just start breaking them down. I'm like, how many tickets do I need to sell? What do I need to do to make this happen? Because once I get something in my head, I just need to go through with it, which is a plus and a negative and a positive. So we did the show. I got all the numbers, and I need to come up with a deposit for the show. And I don't have much financially. I think I have many things otherwise, but in this case, finances did matter. So I really wanted to have the show. I needed a deposit, and like I don't want to say an angel, but someone came out of someone saw my frustration, because I'm not big about posting frustrations on social media and stuff like that. I sometimes forget to ask for help when I need help. It's a pride thing sometimes, and it's not the right thing all the time. Sometimes you just need to ask for help. So I asked for help, and it worked. So I had the deposit. So I'm like, all right, the show's happening. I still needed a lot more to get the show on the road, and it was a big production. There were a lot of people involved. I'm big on community, so I wanted to involve members of the community and organizations and stuff like that. So I asked like Hill House High School to be part of it, and it was weird because I'm so used to doing everything by myself. I don't know how to do it I know how to do it as a team, but not sometimes like. I'm kind of a control freak. I'll admit that I'm a control freak, which sometimes makes things harder for me because I don't know when to let go sometimes. So as the show went, everything was going on with the show, I kind of started losing track of my social life, and to me it was just College Street, College Street, College Street, and not necessarily losing friends, but not being like the best person to be around because I was always stressed out or on my phone or something was always happening that was, a setback or something that I just had to attend to when I should be, hanging out with a friend or my girlfriend or something like that. And it was, it was hurting me financially across, I used to do roofing, and that's what I wanted to do to pay this off. I had like a big calendar, and I'm like, I need to get 68 days of roofing in, and this pays for this. But the weather has been so tricky that my plan didn't initially work, so I had to, but I already had the deposit in, so I had to really like get going. And I asked for another friend for help who also helped me. But it was taking a toll on me because it's like I was just so worried about the money, and it's like I'm like I just want I want to worry about the art or just the music, and just performing and giving the audience like their money's worth and giving being up there as a performer and not counting how many people are in the crowd to make sure I broke even and stuff like that. So long story short, the show went on, and it was a great show. The numbers didn't meet the the cost of the event, but it didn't really matter. The night was it was magical. It was more people were there than any of my other shows. We had a high school band on the stage, like a high school marching band on the stage. Everything it's something I'll never regret. I try to live as much as I can without regret. Though sometimes I'm like maybe I shouldn't have done that. What rang true to me, going a little bit backwards, was someone that was very close to me, I had asked them, like, hey, what do you think? I'm thinking I'm going to do the show at College Street. What do you think about it? And they told me that I was making a huge mistake, you know. And this is someone that I really like believed in, because they had their own venture, and in this own venture that they've always spoken about how people were saying that they were going like against the grain and against. So it was really it kind of it shocked me, because you know, here I am trying to do what this person said that they did to get to their success that they reached. Yet if I do it, it's a mistake. Which I bring that up now because now that the show is done and stuff like that, I'm still struggling through the it's been hard to recover the losses financially. But again, like it's something that I won't regret doing it. I brought something to New Haven that I don't think anybody, it was a bit of courage, maybe like blind courage, but so and with that being said, the hardest thing I just had happen was I had a little bit of issues with my finances leading to other things, I was, like I said before, I wasn't really paying attention to a lot of my friends and stuff like that. I was just so focused on one thing that I started losing things that that I didn't even realize that I was losing, that really meant a lot to me. And it happened. One of the biggest things happened like this past week. I was in Puerto Rico for my birthday, and I left to Puerto Rico with an eviction notice sitting at my house. And like I said before, money to me has always been so it's such a I'm willing to do anything that I need to do for music. Like lose anything that I want to lose. But as I'm getting older now, I'm like, I don't have to, I don't have to be this martyr. I don't have to sacrifice all these things to get to like where I'm trying to go. You can find equilibrium and stuff like that, and kind of figure out when you strike and stuff like that. But so I leave, and there's an eviction notice sitting there, and someone close to me finds the eviction notice, and I don't really. Sometimes I find it hard to communicate, and it's not from a sense of trying to hide anything or maliciousness. It's just I'm embarrassed by it, embarrassed, and just like, it's not, I put myself on a big pedestal in a sense, or I feel like I am on one sometimes. So it's hard for me to kneel down and say, hey, I'm in trouble, or I'm hurting right now. Like I always think I can figure it out. You know what I mean? Or I'll find some way to figure it out. So this person found that letter, and it wasn't even about the finances. It was about, breaking trust. And that really had an impact on me. One, I was so far away, I couldn't really fix anything because I was 1,600 miles away. And it really was it hurt, you know what I mean? And it's and I was in a weird place because I don't know when to ask for help. And I don't know who to, sometimes I don't know who, because, by putting in a position that I'm in, sometimes I feel like I've alienated myself, because, with success also comes you kind of, not that I mean it, but I also, some people don't always take the success as well as I would take it, or there's envy and stuff like that. Not that I think anybody's envious of me, or I really spend time thinking about that, but as you climb the ladder, so this happened while I was away. And it was very hard for me, because I had so many emotions. I couldn't figure out, am I angry? Am I upset? Am I mad because my ego's upset? Am I mad because I'm actually upset because I really care about this person? And coming back from that, it kept ringing in my ear what that person that was close to me said, oh, you're making a big mistake, because now I'm sitting here, it was just a week ago, a couple days ago, I'm sitting here, I've lost, I've almost lost my girlfriend. I'm losing my apartment. I'm losing all these things because I went for it and stuff like that, which has led me to, within the music business, you always hear the "fake it till you make it" term. And now being 28, my last show I addressed it, and how not inappropriate, how just wrong that is, because it's faking it till you make it is really not, that's what I was just doing, and it catches up to you. And I think as a musician or as an artist, like I chose this so I can be honest and be able to like express, you know, what I care about and what I want to say, instead of being, you know, on a cubicle or anything like that, where I, you know, I have a big boss and I got to watch everything that I say. I'm not saying that I want to say anything negative, but I'm extremely against that term now, because it does cause you to lose things, and it causes it's just not true. You know what I mean? It's just like I want to tell you how it is, because if you're in the same situation I'm in, then I can help you out, or we can help each other out. If I'm posting on Facebook that I'm like, you know, have all this like, you know, champagne and stuff like that, but my bank account's sitting at like, you know, like $-. That's not honest. It's not me being honest with myself or being honest with you. So it's, you know, I don't think that like failure and stuff should be so hidden all the time. But like coming back to like, you know, coming back from the College Street thing, I learned, you know, you learn from the failures. That's why, you know, it can't always be fun, and it can't always, but I learned to, you know, the person that I almost lost close to me, I learned to, you know, really care, you know, like realize that it's the simple things that really matter. Like, you know, a simple compliment and stuff like that, because you get so clouded in like this, like, you know, just not even money, because it's not, you know, everybody has their like one thing that like, you know, it could be money, it could be you know, it could be anything, you know, like, you can be rich or poor and you're still going to feel the same like feelings, because we're all human beings. But it put things in perspective for me, in the sense of, you know, be a little smarter with the decisions that I make, because they do affect others, and also just ask for help, and just be, by being honest, you actually get more help than by, you know, not dishonest, you know what I mean, but just communicating is really the most important thing and just saying, hey, I'm in trouble, you know, it's okay to be embarrassed, you know, it's like, it's a human, you know, thing. But if you hide things because you're embarrassed, eventually it's gonna chip away at you, and that's really it. I'm the thing.
Where did you find yourself? I mean, it seems like, you know, when you don't feel comfortable asking for help, and you see that, you know, there's a hole in the ship, and water is flooding in, and, you know, you feel like you're sinking, but you're paralyzed with fear, because you don't want to. You're afraid people might judge you, or you're going to be embarrassed or ashamed that you're in that situation to begin with. Where did you find yourself sort of emotionally when you're in that place where you're like, oh no, like, I'm not in a good place?
Initially, I kind of like, as I've, you know, I've always been very, not like, I've been very, I'm loving, but I also like suppress emotions too. So I panic, but I'm very good at like keeping a straight face, you know what I mean? Because I always think panicking causes me to make more mistakes, you know, so I try to keep a level head. A lot of anxiety, you know, just lack of sleep, and just, you know, it's always like in my head, I'm trying to prove myself wrong, or I'm trying to prove like whatever's I'm facing wrong. So it's like, just like when the ship is sinking, I go into like captain, like I'm going down with the ship, instead of like, you know, sending like a help signal or something like that. And I don't know if that comes from my, you know, upbringing and stuff like that, but it's like it's always been hard for me to ask for help. I always wait until like the very last minute, and luckily enough in my life, it's always been there. So I consider myself extremely lucky. But at the same time, like, do I want to keep testing my luck, you know, as I get older? And at the same time, by testing my luck, I affect others in ways that I don't want to affect them, and I lose people that I don't want to necessarily lose, or not lose, like, you know, like lose their like respect slash just trust. You know, I mean, trust is like one of the biggest things. And though, you know, I was talking to one of my friends when this was happening, and I'm like, you know, what's not my issue, but what is it, you know? And they're like, you know, you have a great heart, and you have, you know, you want to do things, but you always do it your way, and people might not see that as the right way, even though it might get to the same place. You just have to explain to people why you're doing certain things, just so they know that you're not just like, you know, just doing it for the sake of doing it without any plan and stuff like that.
You mentioned, you know, this being a habit of yours, sort of waiting until like the situation is pretty glum before like saying like, hey, I'm in a situation here, I could use some help. Were there any experiences that stand out to you in your childhood where you were maybe developing this pattern or habit?
I think not like something that like screams at me, but I think as I was like a very independent child, not by like I had a loving mother and everything. I just for some reason I just always wanted to do things like alone. You know, not alone, but just like I'll go if I wanted to. When I wanted something, I went and earned it. It was just like my way of. It's just I don't know if it's genetic or if it's but there's something that screams out at me. I always knew there was a way, not a way out, but there was a way to figure it out, even if it's like last minute. I mean, maybe in high school I used to procrastinate a lot. I do papers last minute, but I work best under pressure, so I think that's really it. It's like, okay, now I need to figure this out. It's not like I have to figure it out. It's like I'm under a time constraint now, and it's gonna be either black or white, and I need to figure it out like now.
It seems like, in asking for help, it involves being vulnerable and sort of sharing where you are and being very authentic, but it also is an opportunity to collaborate with someone else who may be able to help you. What sort of role has collaboration played in where you are in your journey musically and as an artist?
A big role because, it's funny because when I ask for help, I usually get it. I don't know why it takes so long. Maybe that's why, because not that I'll know I'll get it, but it's like, because I don't always know, I mean, there's been times, like back to the college trip, that would have happened without collaboration. I didn't have what was needed by myself to get through that, be it financially or just like with everything else that was involved in that, musically and art, in the arts. That's really all I have to say about that.
What are some of the things that you found yourself doing to cope with surmounting stress of, putting your neck out there and trying something new and sort of taking a really big bite off of something that you hadn't done before?
I spent a lot of time alone. Sometimes I feel like when I'm in the top floor of my apartment, I just feel like this big brain in there, just trying to figure out like ways. Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, what were some of the ways that you were coping with that stress?
Just running a lot, jogging a lot, and just and what sucks, for the lack of a better word, about that putting yourself in that stress is that your creativity level goes down because you're more worried about logic than like being creative, and then the answer is always like right in front of you, or like and it gets clouded because you're stressed out. Coping with stress, just talking to people, like talking to those close to me. But I'm also really hard at I'm very vague sometimes because it's hard for me to ask for help because maybe I see help as a weakness, as I shouldn't. I know that, but it's somewhere along the line I saw help as a weakness, and I'm trying to grow out of that, and it's okay to ask for help. It's okay, and even if you get asked for help and it's you get backlash, it's like I'd rather try to ask for help now than not, you know what I mean? Because it's like there's some things that I just can't I can't do, and that's okay. And someone else can help you, collaborating, and someone can fill in the gap that you have, and you can maybe fill whatever gap they might have,
What inspired you to become an artist and a musician? I imagine that it probably started at a much earlier age.
It's funny, the one thing that I've always been really proud of myself is I've always known I wanted to be a musician since I was a kid. And for a lot of people, I talked to some friends and they still don't know what they want to do and stuff like that. And I've always been happy that I'm hey, I knew what I wanted to do. I really wanted to at 14. My family comes from musical background, so I've always heard music. Funny enough, I initially wanted to be a rapper, and I went to school to be to do beats and stuff like that, and then I became an indie rock. I used to never want to listen to rock, and music to me is just I can't even see myself. As I'm getting older, I'm just getting all I know how to do is this one thing, but I wouldn't take it any other way. It's just the feeling you get when you create a song, and more actually, what I care mostly about is just shows and playing and seeing people's faces and the impact that, you know, and hearing people like describe their song or singing along, because it's like, you know, if they're singing along at some point, they needed this song, and I, you know, it's like medicine in a sense. And I was able to do that through an experience of mine. That, you know, I made this song. That's why when people say, you know, oh, like music should be fun all the time, and I'm like, I wouldn't have half of my songs if it was fun all the time. You know, it's like you need the bad with the good, because then you can relay that story to other people, and it can help other people from your lyrics. You know, it's like, hey, I was here once. It's gonna be okay. I'm still here too. You know, it's everything. You know, not in like a drastic like way, but it's like people forget the little things, and as I'm getting older, I'm realizing that the little things are like what counts. You don't need to be like extravagant all the time. You can pick your times to do it, and just worry, like not worry, but care about yourself before you help somebody else. Because if you're leaking, you can't really help. You know, if you're sinking, you can't really help others sinking ship, kind of thing.
Mm. Has music, performing or writing music, helped you through some difficult times?
Oh, everything. I mean, when I'm sad or when I'm happy, I try to write. You know, just it's like a journal. You know what I mean? You kind of keep a journal. Listening to music a lot. You know, that's like when I'm down. You know, it's just I just blast the speakers and just, you know. I think that's why I listen to a lot of hip hop. Like I listen to the music, opposite music that I actually make, which is really funny. Hip hop, because that was what I was raised with, and that's really like the music that I came from. And two, there's something about hip hop that, I mean, I'm from Hartford and stuff like that, so I come from like I hate saying like I come from like, you know, rags to riches, because it's like, you know, that's not really like the story I want to, you know, everybody has their problems and stuff like that. But hip hop to me has this sense of more older hip hop. The recent hip hop I'm not so big on, but it has a sense of confidence that helps me get out of dark places, because I'm like, hey, you know, this is what this guy had to do. If this guy got to do that, then whatever I'm doing is not that it's not that like hard, but it's like it's doable. You know what I mean? It makes things like, it's in my head at least feasible. It's like it looks dark right now, but it's like just keep, you know, just keep going. You know, it's like, you know, with the money thing, the thing I always say, like, hey, I'm not gonna die from lack of money. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not like if my bank account's at zero, my heart stops. You know what I mean? So it's just a matter of just, you know, just going and not stopping. You know, no matter the circumstances.
What keeps you going? What gets you out of bed in the morning on days when maybe you feel like the odds are stacked against you?
It's weird. I when I wake up, I'm like, you know what? It's a new start. You know, it's like whatever stuff happened yesterday. It's I try to wake up every day with like as much as I can, just positive and just like what do I need to tackle today? And I like life. You know, it's like you get one, and it's like there's nothing better than, you know, like even when you feel down, at least you feel something. It's you know, it's about feeling, and it's about experiences and stuff like that. So just, you never know what the day is gonna bring. You know, it's like, it's in a weird way. It's like, you know, bands play New York City because, you know, somebody might be there. I give it that way in like a show, you know, a day. Like you don't know what's waiting for you like throughout the day. You know, it's like things can be, you know, I was on what's today? It's Saturday, Sunday. On I was a mess on Thursday. You know what I mean? And as you know, I work things out. I'm like chipper today. You know, it's like it's about, you don't know what the day is gonna bring. You know, everything can change like that. You know what I mean? And for the good and the bad, but I would hope for the good usually. You know, so that's what gets me out of bed, not knowing what can happen, and just being ready to, you know, take on whatever comes at you.
How important do you think it is to have some sort of creative outlet to express yourself?
I think very, you know, like I do soccer. That's like what I do. Like I love playing soccer. To me, it's like, that's creative in its own sense, because it's like it's different. You should always do something that it's not what you do with, you know, with your life. Like if you're an accountant, you should go, I don't know, play racquetball or something, because if I spend too much time working on music, it becomes stale. The music itself becomes stale, and I become stale. You know, it's just, everybody needs a creative outlet, because it's just like, you know, it's like, as a human being, like, you can't always be so like logical. You know, like creativity is really like, you know, it's like, how do you get from point A to point B? I mean, I know I can go that way, but it's like, can I learn more by going in like a going like a weird line than if I just went straight to like from point A to point B, you know, or can not learn or experience more, you know, do I want to go, you know, from like life to death, like just straight through, or do I want to like see things and experience things and try to get the most out of like this planet and stuff like that I can, and friends and stuff like that.
Is it fair to say that music, this musical journey has pushed you out of your comfort zone?
Yeah, I mean, all the time. I think that's why I like it so much, because it's like, a second that I think I'm comfortable, I'm like, oh, no, I'm not, you know. And it's helped me, you know, like I used to hate being on stage. I remember in high school, I used to always try to rap, and I would always forget lyrics. And, you know, when I think back to when I started and think back now, it's cool to see progression, you know. It's like, you're like, I'm like, wow, like, not wow, like, oh, I'm good, I'm great, you know, but it's more like, and it's not even about that, it's just like personal, like, you know, and or listening to old recordings, you're like, I'm like, oh, I sounded like that, and seeing that you're getting better, but not also better, you're just getting more comfortable. But my thing is, it's like, when you're comfortable, that's when you need to like switch things up or do something that, because you should always be pushing it. But because by pushing it, you don't want to, you just want to learn. I think life is about learning and just like being a sponge, not and just taking as much as you can in while you have the time, because then, you know, when problems come up, you know, you have the time, you know, you have the knowledge to be like, okay, I've seen this before, or if someone else needs help, it's like, oh, I've been through this, or I've seen this before, like this is what, not that there's an answer for everything, but at least you can like roll with the punches kind of thing.
Just thinking back to when you were talking about, you know, sort of why you do what you do is not about the money, it's about sort of the connection that you feel to the audience in performing and knowing that they're absorbing what you're doing. What does that feel like when you step onto the stage, you know, right before you're about to start a song, or maybe the first song of your set?
It's the best feeling in the world. I can't even explain it. It's just like everything's gone, you know what I mean? Like money doesn't exist, like nothing exists but that, making that connection, and just, I mean, I'm smiling just thinking about it, because it's just, there's nothing like it. It's something that I wish everybody could experience, you know, at any level, really, you know, because, you know, when you look at people, it's not even really about being on stage. It's just like knowing that these people that are there came to, you know, to hear your message, for that, you know, that they gave up whatever they had to do that day for 1 hour just to like hear like the songs that you think, you know, you sat in your room and played, and like, oh, these are like a big deal, and then you look out and you're like, you know, it touched somebody, and it's like, it's almost like your little certificate. It's like, hey, like, you know, they're all like, you know, we have like 500 certificates here for you that, you know, your songs mattered enough to me that I spent money and time really of my life to come see it. So when I'm up there, it's everything goes away. You know, there's sadness if I'm playing a sad song. You know, you kind of get caught up in that, but there's it's just the best feeling in the world. I mean, that's when when I started performing live, that's when I was like, I don't want to do anything else. You know, especially like when you're touring, because it's easy to play in front of your friends. Sometimes it's harder because they're a little more critical, but playing in front of like, you know, different people and in different cities, and watching the same, you know, and seeing like how different people take the songs and stuff like that. It's just, it's cool. It's like you make you know, it's like making a painting, and you get to take it, and you're like, what do you think of this painting, you know? And I don't know, now I want to go play a show, you know? It's the best. It's just, it's all emotions all at once, you know, just coming at you. It's like a drug, you know what I mean? It's just like the lights are there, everything's there. It's just, and you're there, you know, this is my, you know, I'm up there, I'm like, this is my job. Like, I'm so happy right now that this is my job, you know.
Have you had any experiences where one of your fans or something contacted you maybe after the show or through social media or something, and really pressed upon you the impact that your song or your message within your song had on their life?
I had 2 instances. One was in Vegas. I played a song that I have. It's called "Born in the City," and to me, like, I wrote the song a long time ago. So, in musically, it's only 2 chords. I don't think much of the song. Not that it's a bad song. It's, you know, when you write something, it's like I've played it for. I've known this for, so it's so familiar to me that it's kind of like. And I played this song, and I didn't think much. You know, not much of it. I played the song. You know, I get off the stage, and these two guys just come up to me, you know, cry, like, you know, they're like bawling, and I'm like, what did I do? You know, what did I do? And they're like, you know, your song just touched us. You know, it's like we've been through like a tough time with our mom. You know, I mentioned my mom once in the song, but he's like, we understood. He's like, it wasn't even about. I don't think it was even about the lyrics. They just understood, you know, just by the timbre and the voice and just the song, what the song was about. And it was like the first time I really had an experience where someone was like so emotional about a song like mine, and it made me feel. I mean, sad because they were crying, but it made me feel good because it's like, hey, like I understand. I understand that you know why my song made you cry. And I'm happy that you can come up to me and talk to me about it and stuff like that. And, you know, we hugged and everything like that. And I've had people like through Facebook, they'll hit me. I was like, hey, like I had a really rough day today, but then I heard your song, and you know, and thank you know, and they and those are usually cooler than shows too, because it's like, you know, everybody's day is so busy, and then you stop and get this message, and it stops time for a second, you know, and they're like, you know, hey, like I'm listening to your song and it's making me happy, or it's making me, you know, it's getting me through something that I didn't know. And that's, you know, because that's the real cool part about it, you know, playing shows and just like the feedback, be it negative or positive. It's just, you know, art, I always think, is supposed to be about just causing a reaction. So it's like if someone feels like negatively about your music, it's like, hey, at least it listens. You know what I mean? I always say, like, you know, at least it's like reading a book and be like, oh, this book sucked. It's like they read it though. It's like they could have just ignored it, but they took the time to read it. So I always, you know, any like insults and stuff like that, I take with a grain of salt, and I'm just like, hey, thanks for listening. And any positive stuff, you know, I also take with a grain of salt, because you don't want to get too caught up in compliments and stuff like that. But when it touches someone and they come up to you and like, because they're vulnerable, you know, and then they say, hey, this song made me feel like this, and you know, thank you for it. That's it's like playing live, and then that's number two. Mm-hmm. It's just like, you know, that way, you know, I'm just thinking like, you know, like in a regular job, you know, that wouldn't happen as often. Not often, but it's just, it wouldn't give you the avenue to do that, you know. I don't think making a copy of you know, making 100 copies would I mean, it would change someone's life, but it's like, feel like, you know, feelings are really like what I go for, at least with music. It's basically like feelings to, you know, like a song, you know, to frequencies and stuff like that.
Have there been any points along your journey or your career where you felt like, I can't do this anymore, it's too hard, no one is paying attention, it's not gonna work?
No. I'm very stubborn. I mean, there have been times that I've never thought, like, I made a vow with myself when I was younger, when you know, a lot of my friends, not friends, but like people, you know, sell their instruments to pay rent and stuff like that. And I made a vow with myself that I would never sell an instrument to pay bills. Like, I refuse to like let go of anything that I bought, you know, that's helped me be creative, just so I can pay, you know, like keep the lights on or so. I would rather sit in the dark with my guitar or anything than have, you know, than give it away just so my lights stay on for another month. I just don't see any longevity in that. Like, a guitar will forever be able to create music. My lights staying on, I can take it or leave it. Even as I get older, I really don't want to do anything else. Nothing makes me this happy that I'm willing to give it up. And you know, things could always be a lot worse. You know, I have a lot more than a lot of people, and I also have a lot less than a lot of people. But the way that, you know, the joy that brings to me, that I can, like, the opportunity of joy that I can give to people, or sadness or anything, it never crossed my head to stop, which is, I don't know. It's never like, I mean, it might have crossed, but it's immediately just like, you know, what are you thinking about, you know? I couldn't see myself doing anything else. I wouldn't be happy, you know, and I would be almost like lying to myself in a sense.
What have you learned about yourself throughout this journey? Have you uncovered some things that were maybe surprising to you on some levels?
I'm extremely persistent, and I don't even realize it. That, and again, it just takes me a while to ask for help. You know, even like, you know, with booking and stuff like that. I have a fear of like someone not doing it right, so then I'll do it myself because I don't know if you're gonna do it correctly. And I'm basically learning to like let go of that, and just like valuing my relationships like with people, like people, if people are gonna invest time in me, I need to be ready to invest time back to them. And I mean, I learned a lot. I mean, I like being on the road. That's like one of the biggest things. And I know music is just like, it's like the coolest thing. I don't know. I keep saying that, but it's like you learn. I mean, learn to deal with emotions. Instead of like being angry, like it's I'm not as angry as I used to be, like angsty. I think we all are a little bit, and like coming, like I never knew my father until later in life, so I was just like, just an angry kid, and coming from like, the projects in Hartford and stuff like that. But as I've gotten older, like I've learned to like channel it, and I'm not as, I used to have a temper, and I don't find myself with the same temper anymore. More understanding, and just and I like that. That's why, I'm like, I used to be angry. Now I've learned that I'm not as angry. Maybe I am, but I've learned to cope with it in a different way. That it's not like lashing out and going at people, because there's no, I've learned that the more you yell, the less people are really listening, kind of thing. If you talk to people just like, we're talking right now, you're more likely to listen than if I'm like, F you and screaming at the top of my lungs. Like, nobody wants to be yelled at, you know what I mean? I don't even want, like, we look at people yelling and we laugh at them, because it's like, you don't have to do it that way.
You mentioned not knowing your father until later in life. Tell me about that experience.
It was an interesting experience because I was just there in Puerto Rico, but I was born in Worcester, Massachusetts, but I always say I was made in Puerto Rico because my dad and my mom both lived in Puerto Rico, and they had some sort of falling out, and then we moved up here, and then I didn't see him again. I moved back to Puerto Rico when I was 6, and then I saw him again when I was 16, and it was always weird because funny enough, my father's a pastor, and so I lived over here, and I have 2 brothers and a brother and 2 sisters down there. I'm the oldest on both sides. And so when I was 16, it was the first time I'd seen him in 10 years. And it was funny, I was all proud of myself because I was taller than him. Like the last time I saw him, I was like a little kid. And I don't really remember. I remember him, to be honest, I do remember him because I remember when I was 6, like I asked him for $1. And he gave me $1, and then I'm like, can I get one more? And he got angry with me, and I remember like he hit me, and I was like, wait till I tell my mom, I was, and I waited outside. I remember that of the house. That was at 6. That was my earliest memory of him. But that was just, as I grew up, not that he wasn't there. I just I didn't really need him. You know what I mean? When I was 16, I saw him again, and then 18, and then now we've built up a relationship. That's why I go to Puerto Rico once a year, and I kind of visit him. I see him for a couple of days, and as I've gotten older, and I don't, I remember one day, I was extremely drunk, and I remember calling him. I was about 23. I remember calling him at 3 a.m, and he picked up, and I kind of like laid it on him, like, hey, you haven't been there my whole life, and all this stuff. And it was pretty, I barely remember what I said, but I remember the feeling the next day. I was like, oh my, I was just like, and I went into him, like, where were you, and it kind of like switched things around. Like, I think he understood that I wasn't coming, it wasn't like anger, it was just like confusion. And now, we're much better now, we're better now. It's a different world too. He lives in a different country, so it's like the expectations of everybody are slightly different. But it was funny because I went there for my birthday, and he picked me up, and we were in the car, and it was just me and him. This is like 4 days ago, and like the thing with I was having like relationship issues and stuff like that, so I was already down, and he picks me up, he starts talking to me, he's speaking in Spanish, and he's like, I never was able to tell you that. It's like, I'm very sorry for, like, I know you were away, and what I did was wrong, and like I remember you called me for money for college when you wanted to go to college, and I wanted to give it to you, but I just didn't have it, and it, you know, it's killed me for all these years. And it was really, you know, and I'm like, no, you know, no sweat, you know what I mean? It's like, you were 21 when you had me. Like you know, I couldn't even imagine like starting a life at that age. And I've never, you know, one thing I never hold grudges. I think that's the worst thing that anybody can do, you know, so it's like, cause you don't know what people are going through, you know what I mean? But it was like, yeah, he's like, you know, he's like, I get sad every time you leave, you know, he's like, I'm so proud that you're my, you know, I'm proud that you're my son and stuff like that. And I'm like, you know, I'm proud, you know, I still call you dad, you know, it's like, I'm not gonna like disown you. I didn't really feel disowned. You were just you were in a situation that was a little, you know, interesting at the time, and you dealt with it the best way you thought that was, you know, the way. And, you know, I'm still here. You know, I'm not gonna waste time now, you know, being mad at you about it. Like, I have the opportunity, you know, a lot of people don't have the opportunity to, like, rekindle or start, you know, I have the chance to, like, talk to you and stuff like that. So I'm not going to waste it on being angry or for a decision that you did, you know, made 20 years ago that maybe wasn't the best for you. You know, it could have been like, like, it wasn't a bad decision, I think, because I'm still here and I'm still like, you know, it's like, you did what you had to do. And that's, you know, and that's, I don't think I should hold any anger towards you for that. So yeah, that's that.
How did that shape your growing up? I assume that you grew up with.
I had my stepdad. I mean, I was always, I went to school, I'm from Hartford, but I went to school in Canton, Connecticut, so I would get bussed out every day from like, you know, like gritty Hartford to like upper middle class Canton, Connecticut, which like, it was tough because it was like, you know, I was like the Hartford kid, you know, I used to wear like baggy clothes and stuff like that. And then, you know, I was like one of 5 Puerto Ricans in the whole school, you know, and I'm coming from Hartford, which is like completely different, like, you know, demographics. But I like that because now I understand both sides of the coin a little bit more, you know. At the time it was a little hard, but now, you know, I'm like, okay, I know why, I know why you're doing that, but it's like, I know, I can understand. I'm not ignorant, not ignorant, but it's like, I'm a little bit more educated on like what life is in the suburbs and what life is in the inner city. Me and my stepdad, it's funny because we used to like, we did not get along, you know. I mean, I'm this 7-year-old, you know, he get me at 7, and, you know, once I got to 16, I'm like, you know, you're not my father, don't tell me what to do, you know, and there was a lot of like clashes, you know, physical and I mean, but never like abusive, you know, just like, you know, I'm an angry, like, you know, 16-year-old, very protective of my mom, so it's like, if they ever got in a fight, I'd be like, no, you know, I'd be there, like, you know, get away from my mom and stuff like that. But like now that I'm older, you know, I think back, and me and him are like best of friends now, and you know, it's like, you know, you were dealt an interesting card. You know, you had this 16-year-old kid that just would go rebel against anything you said, and like you weren't his father, so like you didn't really have much ground to stand on. But I am very thankful for him because he raised me, and he could have not done everything that he did, he could have just not done it, but he put up with me. And I'm very thankful for that.
What's your relationship like with your mother?
Great. I mean, we talk every day. She's it's funny because my family, I don't think until recently, they don't really understand what I do for a living. I mean, they understand, but you know, coming from a Puerto Rican family, there's like these, like, you know, you get married, you get, you know, you're not supposed to, but there's like these, you know, like when I go to Puerto Rico, everybody's like, are you married yet? Are you married yet? And I'm like, nah, you know, I'm chilling right now. No, my mom, we have a great relationship. It's like, I mean, that's like, you know, she's always there for me. I'm lucky to have a mom. She's never not believed in me. It's like, that's like my number one, like, cheerleader right there. You know, she's like, whatever you do, you know, like, I mean, you know, she comes to every show, and just, you know, like recently I was talking to one of my friends and they were like, yeah, I get upset because my mom comes to the shows, and I'm like, you're an idiot, you know what I mean? It's like, not only is that another person at the show, it's like, that's your mom. Like, who's gonna support you more? You know, I mean, not 100, you know, who's gonna support you more than your own, you know, your mom that, like, you know, raised you to be like the man or, you know, girl or whatever that you are now. So I love having my mom at the shows, you know what I mean? It's just like, I always know exactly where she stands, and it's you know, and my family in general, you know, I have they're always at whatever shows they can make and stuff like that. So we have a great relationship. I'm more like, you know, I wanna. I'm in the position now, or I'm trying to put myself in a position through music that I can get her out of Hartford, and kind of like, you know, give her not necessarily everything that she's always wanted, but everything that she's always wanted, you know, or just like take her away from like being in debt and being, you know, and having to because I have a little sister that she takes. That's 16, and kind of, you know, hey, you've struggled enough, you know. I made it to this, you know. You had me at 19. You had my little brother at, you know, at 23, like, and you raised us to be like, you know, decent men, and then you have my little sister. It's like, you've done enough, you know. It's time to, you know, for me to pick up the slack, kind of thing. So that's why I think I work so hard with music, and I'm so like driven, because in my head, you know, I not necessarily the savior, but I want to come back and, you know, and give, you know, like, Mom, you don't have to worry about rent this month. You know, you don't have to worry about this stuff. And that's, I think, a lot of the things that I'm happy I'm doing this, because people maybe don't know that, you know, what drives me and why I'm. And that's not necessarily like why money matters to me a little bit, because to me it's like I'm trying, not this like I have the most loving family in the world, and I want them to have the things that I think they deserve, in the sense of like, you know, I want to take my mom on a vacation and stuff like that, so she doesn't have to worry so much about, you know, bills and like how she's gonna pay for what and stuff, you know, just to be, you know, just like or even like a day, take her to Denny's or something, you know, something to like alleviate some of like the struggle that she's gone through.
It seems like living in inner city of Hartford, you have a different perspective of what the struggle is than maybe a lot of other people, especially the community who you went to school with.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the struggles?
Well, you know, we were always like the Hartford kids, you know. But it was awesome because we lived up to the stereotype. Like, we'd roll in our, you know, 25 of us in a bus with like that 93.7 blasting, you know, which was like, I'm like, you know, I've never seen that happen anywhere else, you know. It's like I've got, like, thinking back, like, my life has been pretty interesting, you know, and it was interesting because it was like, I'm not blaming or anything. There was a lot of like underlying, like, you know, racial stuff. Like, if I asked some of my friends, you know, to come to like my house, like, no, they would like, oh, you can't go to Hartford, or if you go to Hartford, you'll get shot. And I'm like, I'm still here. Like, I haven't gotten shot. And just, you know, there would be instances of racism, but it's like, I saw it more as like, you just don't know, you know. It's like, you just, you know, like the word, like, you know, I don't know if I can say this on camera, like spick and stuff like that. And it's like, I'm like, I don't even know what that means. You know what I mean? I know you're trying to be hateful, but it's like, I don't even think you know what that means. So while it was hard, sometimes it opened me up to a lot of opportunities that I might have not had. So I've always been very grateful about it. And that's why, like, as I got older, when I faced like racism and stuff like that, I was able to handle it, because I'm like, hey, I've been here before. Like, you just don't know. You're just misinformed, or just don't have enough class to like understand that we're on an equal plane.
How do you deal with that when you're confronted with being racially profiled or treated unequally?
I like to think that I have better hair. No. I'm proud of my, you know, I'm very proud of my roots, you know, like Puerto Rican roots. But at the same time, I you know, I am, as much as I can be, like, I'm colorblind. And even like when it comes at me, I don't know, it's just like, I don't even, sometimes I try to explain it, but it's like, I almost feel bad for that person. Like, I'm like, if you're using racism against me, you have way bigger things to like worry. You know, you're either bored, or you have other things that you should be worried about than like the color of my skin, or where I come from, or the way I look. So I'm just like, whatever. It just doesn't. Sometimes I just don't have the time to like address it. You know what I mean? But I don't know. That's it.
Is there a favorite quote, lyric, or some sort of mantra that resonates with you that you like to share?
I always like when you least want to do something, that's when you should do it. That's one of my friends said that to me once, and I didn't think much of it, and it's rung with me. You know, like, if I'm sitting, like, sitting on the couch, and I'm like, I should probably, go like send these emails, and I'm like, nah. If I say like, nah, I'm like, oh wait, that's when I know, get up. It's like, just get it done. You know what I mean? There's no point in waiting and stuff like that. And it's just like when you least want to do something, just get it over with. I'm like, I try to tackle everything as head on as I can, and sometimes it might seem confrontational, but to me, it's like I feel this way right now, so I want to explain to you why I feel this way right now, before I don't feel like this anymore, or before I just don't even remember. Before it just goes. So yeah, when you least want to do something, go do it.
It seems like a sort of a motivation to be proactive,
Mm-hmm.
especially as you just said when you're feeling something, you want to communicate it. Right then, I think that's great because a lot of times we hold on to that, and when you hold on to it, you sort of get the process clogged and
Oh yeah, definitely.
some sort of explosion or eruption of emotions.
I've had plenty of eruptions, so I'm like, I'm gonna be like a dormant volcano now. I'm like, I'll let it out. I'll spew it out slowly, so that it doesn't all come out. And I mean, it's hard for me to let things go. Not in a sense that I hold on to them like in anger, just because it's like I just want to explain. I want to know. I'm curious, I guess. Like I want to know why you did something, and I want to, because I'm trying to figure out why I'm feeling this way and why you felt that you needed to do that. Not in an accusational like point of view, just like I'm trying. It's like the human. I'm trying to figure out the human condition at the same time. It's like, okay, you do this because of this. Next time you do it, I won't get mad anymore because I'll know why you do it. Or just my girlfriend, like the best advice that I got from her, she's like, you can, it's okay to do things just because you want to feel better, not necessarily in like a selfish way, just like, like if your expectation, like going up against like a corporate company, it's like sending them an email, they're never going to get it, but at least I know I sent the email, so I feel better about it because I got it off my chest. It's not necessarily like I'm trying to gain anything from it. I just want to get it out, so it's just out. And if it's another person, like, where I stand. Because if I hide it, then it's like I'm not being honest to either person. So I'm trying. I'm still working on it. I'm getting better at it.
What advice would you offer to someone else who can relate to sort of the challenges that you faced on your musical journey and career? Your upbringing with your family, or even being sort of racially profiled?
Well, never give up. I don't even see that as an option really. Be persistent on what you want. And follow your intuition. It's usually right. And even if it's wrong, it's okay to be wrong. That's when you learn. It's like Like I know for a fact, like if a stove was on, I would put my. If someone told me it's on, I would put my hand on it just to figure. Just know, and just do what you need to do to make yourself feel better, and don't think of it as like it's being selfish, because you can't help anybody unless you're 100%. At least I think that, and be open. It's like if you close down, if you can't learn, then you stop. You can't even get old, because it's like, you have to learn. Don't be afraid to fail, and just be open. Just be accepting. I mean, you have to have your be cautious, but there's no right or wrong way to do everything or anything. It's just like we're all figuring it out. There's no. You don't pop out of your mom and someone's like, here's the handbook. You know what I mean? Well, I guess some religious people might, but just do well. Do your best, and that's and you'll never regret anything, because it's like I tried, and that's a lot of the things that back to the College Street thing. To me, I would have thought of it as a bigger, not failure, because I don't think it was a failure, but it would have bothered me that I didn't do it, that I didn't go for it. No matter where I stand right now, like I would have been like, I could have done this, and that's like my nightmare. Like I could have. I'd rather be like, I did it. It didn't work out this time, but I learned this much from it that I can use next time I do it, or just there's things that money can't buy, and sometimes that you just have to jump in the water and see if it's cold or hot, and then take it from there.
How has it felt to share these experiences with me today?
It's been nice. It's cool because I feel very welcoming to like say anything here, and just there's a lot of things that I said that I don't think I've ever told that nobody really knows about me, and as a musician, your public persona. Not that it's important. Not that you want it to be important, but it's like you have this facade, and I'm trying to break that facade down in the sense of like, hey, I'm just like everybody else. I just do something different. I don't get mad at anybody that drives to work. I just you can eat. It's like eating like you like Fruity Pebbles and I like Captain Crunch. It's like I just don't. It's made me feel good because I can express myself openly and just everybody's going through something. So it's like instead of when you get ready to say something negative to somebody, just hesitate just a little longer and really think about what your words are gonna, how this person is gonna react to your words, and if it's really worth it, like if you really feel that empowered or whatever you want to, if you feel that bad that you want to like tear this person down, just like you never know. You never know what might push someone or might you never know where someone is staying. You don't know, and I try my best to, if I do have like negative feelings, to approach the person and just talk to them like, hey, can we talk? Can we hash this out? It doesn't always work, but I at least for me, it's like I tried, and that's sometimes you're not supposed to get along with everybody, and you can't please everybody. That's like my number one advice. It's just you'll drive yourself crazy trying to please everybody. You do things good-willed and good-hearted, and just let everything else. There's some things you just can't control.
Do you think that it's possible that by sharing your human experiences today with me, that you could potentially be inspiring, motivating, or giving someone else some courage or hope that they're not alone in whatever they're facing or experiencing?
I hope so. Yeah. I would say, if anything, I'm sure I'm not the only one that's gone through the same thing. I'm sure if people watch this video, even if it's not the exact same situation, there's similar situations, and just don't be afraid to ask for help. It's not like help, and I'm working on this too, like I said, but help is not weak. You know what I mean? It's actually asking for help is more courageous than not asking for help. Just do it in the right way. There's help, and then there's like screaming, not screaming for help, but it's if you do it right, not that there's no right way to ask for help, but just ask for it the way that you feel is the right way. Because if you do it, like I said, if you do it with like good intentions, or just like hey, this is here are my feelings, this is why I need help, people react to that. People you can tell, there's something in our brain that like you can tell when someone's being real and stuff like that. And like I said, it's more courageous to ask for help than to go on not asking for help, and then who knows what will happen.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.